Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for turning in today. We are so great to see you all. Again, my name is Johanny Paulo Imane. Today I'm going to be co-hoster because Dr. Taddese, she's the one who's hosting after the event. And I also do appreciate for each one of you who came today because we have a lot going on. We already have our special guests online. Let's welcome him, and he's gonna tell us a little bit about himself. Then we will go on and introducing our other. Each one of us will introduce ourselves. Thank you so much. Welcome our special guest. Thank you.
Thank you, Imani. Would you like me to go ahead and introduce myself?
Yes.
All right. Good afternoon, good evening to everyone, depending on where you are. My name is Taddese. I am born and raised in East Africa by way of Oromia, Ethiopia, and Nairobi, Kenya. And I currently live and work in Minnesota. Absolutely, I'm very excited and a great opportunity for me to be on this forum today. And a little bit about my background. I come from an IT background, both academically and professionally. And I've also been very heavily involved in our community affairs here within Minnesota and across the African diaspora communities in the US as well. And most recently being the president for the board of Books for Africa, which is the largest shipper of text and library books to the entire African continent. So I look forward to getting to know the rest of you and really having some great conversations today.
Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Let me go ahead and ask Mike himself to introduce and tell us where you are. Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Michael. Nice to meet you. It's my first time participating in this forum. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. Born and raised, but I'm half Tanzanian, half Kenyan. So yeah, that's where my background is, East African, as our special guest is from. I've been to Ethiopia a couple of times, Hawassa, Addis. Yeah, so I know a little bit about Ethiopia. My background is in communications. I did some communication works for like 5 years in the UN, and now I'm the founder of Tunacheki, where we cover African stories, and our whole point is to educate the world about Africa, you know, like from an African perspective. So yeah, that's something small about me.
Thank you.
Next.
Who would you like to go next?
Yeah, let me ask our Jerome.
Me? Okay. Hi guys, I'm Jerome Taddese. I am originally from Trinidad and Tobago. Born and raised there for like basically first half of my life. Second half has been in this country in the United States of America, in the DMV area. And I'm an artist and also studied IT, but my main background is art and graphic design. I'm also an author and published my first book exactly a year ago. It's called Mekonnen, the Warrior of Light. I spent basically almost 20 years, more than 20 years reading and researching and writing about and illustrating about the Ethiopian, Eritrean, East African, Horn of Africa culture. That culture is kind of been mentioned in my culture from my whole life because of reggae music and you know, that's the favorite music and stuff like that. And yeah, so I'm also working on some other projects right now related to the Maconan epic title. And I'm trying to be more involved in humanitarian things. I went to Ethiopia last year for the first time, spent a month there, went to most of the historical sites. It was awesome, and made some friends there, some connections. I'm trying to help someone build a school in Irji, Addis Ababa area, actually. And yeah, I'll stop there before I go too long. And thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you too. Thank you so much. His Royal Eze, can you please tell us about yourself? People here, most of you don't know about you. Come on. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you, Marnie. It's good to be here again. My name is Victor Obonadi II. And my introduction is very simple. Law is my chosen profession, and royalty is my inherited career. I am a published author, originally from Nigeria. I'm involved in expanding the territories of our culture, African culture. And I've been to other parts of African region, exploring their culture, and I derive joy sharing my experience wherever I am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming in today. We appreciate it. Opie, come in, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Brother Imani. My name is Opeyemi Olomola. I'm based off of North Carolina. I've been into IT for about 15 years in the domain of infrastructure and software-defined networking. And over the couple of past years, about 3 years now, I've been dabbling into data analytics. So pretty much that's what my background has been. I've been involved in other plethora of other industries, construction, and also sports. But basically, I'm into IT, and most of my visions and missions actually surrounding IT as a solution to some of the injustices and imbalances in the world. Believing that IT is a common ground that is that is currently lacking discrimination in today's world. I'm a strong believer that IT is still a little bit neutral, but it will increasingly become biased if Africans don't engage at the most fundamental phases of it. If we allow IT to go too far before we are fully at the helm of the IT breakthroughs, then we would also be, we will be losing ground in that domain as well. So that's me in a nutshell. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I haven't seen you for quite a minute. Mr. Ras, yeah. Are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Who are you and where are you?
Nice smile. I love your smile. Thank you for having this tonight, Brother Yohani and Sister Dr. Katari, for making this forum available to us. And thank you for everyone who has come on before me and introduced themselves. Very nice to meet you. Okay, I am Ras Alula Gabri Selassie, and I am based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And my profession is in therapy. I'm a physical therapist assistant and also a certified massage therapy. So I specialize in wellness and body works facilitating health to our people and to all whomever I can assist. My joy is in
We can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. Your connection is kind of getting real bad.
Travel around the Caribbean.
We can't hear you. I don't know if it's me or you. Yeah,
I
was me.
enjoy healthy living that goes along with my body work. And believe that we should all become self-sufficient, growing our own food, producing what we need to sustain ourselves and to better our own communities so that we don't be dependent on governments, but forming our own government, so to speak.
Thank you. I think I was possibly the one who had a problem, technical problem, but
that was formed in 1999.
okay.
Shall I continue or yield the floor?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Better now.
Okay.
Yes, better now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think. Yeah. Next, can someone next one, please? Let me figure out how I'm gonna do this.
Thank you.
Loja, please, can you come in?
Yeah, this is, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm from Harrisburg, to Senegal many occasions in the last 10, 15 years, and I'm partner with Brother Doran Tabbert. We went to Senegal back in '97, so I'm looking to do some trade in Africa, and that's why I'm on the call and see what we can do to help each other grow, because we have to do it by ourselves. And that's why I'm in the motherland.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Are we missing anybody?
Thank you.
Mr. Eugene, where are you? Okay. Come on.
Hey, good afternoon, family. This is Brother Eugene. I appreciate everybody tuning in this afternoon. I'm Brother Eugene Talford. I am the chairman of the Afro Diaspora Political and Economic Think Tank. I also own two businesses for over 30 years. One is a logistics management company known by ETC Logistics. We are a import-export trading company as well, combined with a logistics management, freight logistics management. And I also operate a farm producing Elysius guineaceus, which all know that is called palm oil. And we've been operating the palm plantation for since 2010. And that's pretty much what I do. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an activist, very strongly involved in Black economics, developing Black economics for many years now. Chaired with the Washington, D.C. Chamber of Commerce as their International Trade Committee chairman for the Caribbean and African sector, and worked under Ron Brown former Secretary of U.S. Department of Commerce as one of his, what do you call it? It's like a task force committee member, and I help revitalize a lot of the trade treaties between Africa and the United States, the trade relationship with Africa and the United States back in the 90s under the Clinton administration. So there you have it. That's all I do. And I thank you. I appreciate, brother, for coming out and sharing your knowledge and information with us. I'll probably be in and out of the program because there are many of our people who come in and listen to us every week didn't get the password and the link. So I'll be in and out discussing some of what you have to say and sharing our dialogue amongst each other. That's what's up. 10-4. Welcome aboard. One love.
Thank you.
Go ahead, brother.
You are on mute. You are on mute if you're talking.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Mohammed, you are next. Please come in. Thank you, Mr. Jyoti. Mohammed.
Hello, yeah, I'm here. Hello, everyone. Sorry for joining late, kind of. I had some technical issues. Anyway, I don't have much to say, but I'm Mohammed Hassan, originally from Sudan. I've been here in the United States since 2010. I know Imani. I know his ambitious idea, and I really like it. Hopefully I can contribute with all of you, helping the motherland, prosper. My background is IT. I'm a system engineer, support contracting with the government, support the Department of Health agency, based in DC. And I'm also a member of DC National Guard. And that's how we met, me and Mr. Imani here. Hopefully get a lot of information from you guys and advice about how we can help the motherland and make good trade and help the people there. My main focus, to be honest, like Africa and my country of birth, which is Sudan. That's pretty much.
All right.
Thank you, and thank you for having me too.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mohammed Hassan. We see Peter Johnson. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we will move on? Peter Johnson, are you there? Okay, all right. I don't think this individual is going to be talking now. Again, thank you so much for our special guest, Mr. Jyoti Taddese, who has an amazing experience in IT. First of all, how are you doing in Minnesota?
Gotta tell you, it's been tough for the people of Minnesota. In fact, it's been tough for all people of color across the nation, with regards to what's been happening over the last couple of weeks here in Minnesota, connected with the killing of George Floyd, and the community is coming together, really bringing resources together to recover from the aftermath, but also really working towards bringing meaningful, lasting change so that something like this will never happen again. So my family and I, definitely that's a topic of our family every day. That's what we talk about, because you can't skip the news. It's on TV, it's on social media, it's through every digital channel that we interact with our other friends, that we see what had happened, also what continues to happen as well. So hopefully this will be a wake-up call as there have been many wake-up calls in the past, and we remain hopeful that something permanent change will come out of this. And I think you're on mute, Imani, if you're talking.
Yeah, okay,
There
yeah.
you go.
I keep doing the same thing, yeah. So me, myself, I just come back from downtown Washington, DC at Capitol Building, White House. I was recording the activities. So it's going on with protesting people. It is just something that I believe it is good for this generation to experience this and see this rolling down to the history of America, but not only to the history of America, to the history of Black people in general. Again, let's start. Let's leave that alone and let's go back to our topic. I think if you guys you remember those who were with us in the beginning, I think in the second week when we started New Afrika Network, we talked about the need of Africans or Black people social platforms. Mr. Dr. Taddese, do you think we need our own social platforms?
So the short answer is yes, and I can get into explaining what are the benefits or what are the reasons, right? We all bring a diverse set of experiences from our environments and upbringings that brought us and molded us and morphed us to be who we are today. And there's absolutely a need for a platform, not only for us to share and exchange those experiences, but a platform that enables us to come together to discuss new ideas that will unlock new economic value, new economic benefit for the continent as a whole and people of African descent across the globe, for that matter. I don't think there is any shortage of talent, skill set, expertise, education, even financial power when it comes to people of African descent, African diasporans, continental Africans. I think a platform that helps to orchestrate the harnessing of value from such expertise is much needed. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. We are seeing what you can call a war on information, which in fact, I think some other countries, especially Russia and China, they even have a special education or special classes to actually train people how to hack, how to get information, and so on. Do you think, what can we do as Africans, especially like uniquely, comes to Africans countries, to actually create a safe zone for our information and to protect our information?
That's a great question, Imani. And earlier I indicated that I come from an IT background. So professionally and academically, IT industry is where I spent almost the last 20 years of my career. And I have been an executive strategy advisor for business executives and IT executives for a number of years for multi-billion-dollar companies. And I happen to also specialize in the area of data and analytics and data monetization. Let me take you back a little bit, you know, why I was interested in this in the first place. And I studied computer science, my undergrad and graduate school. And when I graduated and when I joined the workforce, my area of interest was not really about how software is made or how technology is made. My curiosity was around actually, how do businesses leverage technology to run their business, run their operation? How do they leverage information and data to drive revenue and value for their organizations? So the the value of information and data to companies has always been, at least for the last 15, 20 plus years, has been a second thought, because the IT departments have been viewed as kind of a back office, departments that kind of run the back end infrastructure, making sure that the lights are on, making sure that the desktops are running, the servers are running, people are getting their emails and people are able to print the documents, right? That was a traditional, a legacy mindset about IT. Then within the last few years, I would say 5-7 years, the value of data for organizations started actually getting more and more magnified, more and more elevated. Companies started figuring out how to make money purely from exchanging and selling data, right? So, and companies started developing business models that depend entirely on the exchange of value through the use of data. Examples are, how is Facebook becoming one of the largest entities in the entire world without having a single capital asset, so to speak? How is Airbnb becoming the competitor against the largest multinational hotel chains without ever owning a single infrastructure or hotel? How is Uber becoming a competitor against multinational car rental companies and taxis without ever owning a single vehicle? This is all possible through figuring out, innovating, and coming up, designing business models that allow people to receive and pay for value purely through digital means. Since then, companies also started thinking about their data not as an afterthought, but rather as a strategic asset, right? Typically, companies think about what are their equipments and capital assets that they need to keep track of, right? Their desktops, even their chairs, tables, whatever hard capital asset that they have. They keep inventory of that, right? Because that actually goes into their accounting books. But information really has never been recognized in the standard, accounting books as an asset, because there was, people haven't figured out how to quantify, how to evaluate information and data. And I think, Imani, to your question now, the war for information or warfare using information became more and more prevalent and actually impactful. We've seen it during the last election, how a country's election system could be skewed simply by coming up with various ways of organizing information, disseminating information, and actually being able to look for specific types of outcomes and influencing people's behaviors, people's actions, right? That's the power of data in your hands. And that went beyond companies now into countries, right? And back in 2019, the European Union announced what they call the General Data Protection Act, GDPR. So basically, this is the union recognizing that information could be used actually to impact countries' economic activities, and therefore needs to be protected. Their citizens' data became their jurisdictional data, their economic asset, and they came up with regulations in terms of how to protect that, how you generate data, how do you use data, how you share data, how you store data, right? And this is where we're going into. This is the digital world that we're going into. And this is also where there is a huge amount of opportunity lies when it comes to the African continent leapfrogging and actually becoming a viable competitor on the global economic landscape. And I think those of us here on this forum who are working on on various fields and professions, be it engineering, be it transportation, be it healthcare, be it manufacturing, distribution. These are all traditional pipeline business models that are, whether they're ready or not, they will be disrupted. The question is, are we going to be ahead of that or not? Are we going to be leading that or lagging behind? And I think you all know the answer for that. So, Imani, I went around kind of the long way answering your question, but the competition for information and data and leveraging data to win the economic game is real, and it is here to stay.
Thank you so much. Does anyone has a question for him before I move on to the second question?
And while actually the rest of you think about questions, let me share with you just my own story in terms of how a gentleman, Mr. Roger, actually asked around, what can we do to bring value, to create economic value for the continent in a way that everybody benefits, right? And my personal story is there are earlier when I said, I was always curious about how companies are using data to drive their business, right? And two areas that I'm absolutely passionate about. One is when it comes to impact. One is education. I come from a background and a family that believed in the fact that education is the only way out of poverty, right? And I've seen that in my family. I've seen how it changed my father's life and his family's life and the impact that it had on me personally. And that's why when I came to the U.S., one of the first questions I was asking myself is, yeah, great that I've been able to receive quality education, great that I've been able to build a successful career, but what am I doing for the very continent and the culture and the environment that shaped me to become who I am today? How am I giving back? And the first immediate answer to me was, helping to educate and develop and cultivate the next generation of leaders for the continent. And how do we do that? Well, we provide innovative, creative ways of advancing the culture of reading, culture of education. And that's how I got involved with Books for Africa. Books for Africa, for those of you who don't know, is the world's largest shipper of text and library books to the entire continent. My story with Books for Africa started because I wanted to bring an impact to a place where I actually grew up and where I was familiar with, and back in 2011. And then after that, I became the member of the board for the organization. And then the last 2 years, I've been the president for the board. Now, this year, we would be celebrating sending 50 million books to all the 55 countries over the last 30 years. And for those of you who grew up on the continent, you know about the value of books and the scarcity of books. And because I've experienced it, and how access to books can actually transform a kid's life, a student's life, a child's life. And then the second area that I'm passionate about is healthcare. If a country does not have a healthy, vibrant population, then the country's economic viability is at stake, because the country does not have productive members of the population that will drive the economy forward. And so through the use of technology and innovation, how can we deliver, number one, cutting edge educational opportunities for kids and students in Africa? And also through innovation, data, and technology, how can we deliver cutting edge healthcare technologies back to the continent? Now, that's my personal story, right? That's the area of passion that I have. because I've seen through my professional experience what digital health innovation can do, the capabilities that it can bring. Now imagine if you are in farming, imagine if you are in transportation or in arts or entertainment, how you can leverage technology to actually connect individuals who are as talented with raw talent in the continent, but simply do not have the outlet to showcase their talents, to drive revenue through their talents, to grow and prosper using their talent. How you can be a conduit, how you can be a catalyst, and how it can actually you can help transform not only just one families or one communities, countries, and entire regions. So that's really, for me, that's the kind of lens that I apply. But I would welcome your questions in terms of in the area of professions, in the area of passions that you have, what can technology do for you to help you propel and actually, level up your game into the next level, into the future.
Yeah, thank you. I think you give us very good background, and I already saw Mr. Abi raise the hand. I think this is his time. He did not introduce himself. I don't know. I don't think he was online yet. Abi, come in and tell us about yourself, and then ask the question you have. Thank you, Abi.
Thank you, Yohani. Actually, I interrupted another meeting to come and attend this one because I'm a great admiration of Mr. Jyote Taddese. I've been donating to his organization. Now, I think he's not in the leadership now, but he's doing a lot of wonderful things for Africa for a long period of time. I'm a great admirer of him, and I never meet him in person, but
Thank you.
I know all the great things he did for Africa, specifically for Ethiopia. And other things, I have several cousins who carry that Jyote name, and probably we are somehow connected. And he's a great person, and I'm glad that you invited him today to be part of this discussion. And nice to meet you, sir. My name is Abi, and I'm involved in several things. I run a couple of nonprofit organizations. I'm an entrepreneur. I own several businesses, starting from aviation consulting, international trade, some franchise in the DC metro area. And I also run a big organization called Medemar in Action that supports the vision of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. We have about 40,000 members organization that fully supported his vision. Probably I know that Mr. Jyote is probably support our new visionary leader. Another thing is we created, I'm not part of it, I'm not one of the creators, but the first Pan-African investment sovereign fund, and that fund is gonna grow up to $50 billion. So we invited some of you for that initiative to join in and put your idea, put your whatever inputs, how we can mobilize the whole Africa together. This is a dream of the Pan-Africanists in the 60s, 70s, but this time it's going to be with financing, with other leverage that the diaspora and African descendant have in this country. And I'm willing to send you all that information, including the initiative, including who's going to be involved in it. And I specifically beg you actually to be involved in that organization, because in this organization have a big dream. Not only the dream, it has a connection with the World Bank, the Dagonte Group, the IMF, and it's a big initiative. It's called Pan-African Investment and Impact Sovereign Fund. And a lot of African organizations is going to be involved in it. We plan actually to launch that organization from Taddese, but we choose another small country, either Botswana or Rwanda. We have several discussions with this government, and a lot of Western governments, also Western Africa government like Nigeria, Ghana, are interested in it. And this will be a big impact for the whole continent of Africa. So I specifically ask you to get involved from the beginning, because I know the interest of Yohani and all brother Eugene and all the others, Dr. What's her name, the admin in this, and you guys are Pan-Africans by nature. So if you send me an email, if you send me on your email, I will send you all the document and everything, who's going to be involved in it, how it's going to work. And this sovereign fund will have a part that will handle the project, the initiative, including Pan-African Broadcasting Corporation, Pan-African Pharmaceutical Corporation, Pan-African Value Chain, the cloud part, and all kind of stuff. There are experts in every field. The diasporas are getting involved in a lot of things together. Before we're doing a lot of free service, now no more free service. We're going to change our nation. Usually you can go so far with non-profits. Mr. Jyoti knows about it. We're tired of begging people to come involved, but this will have an impact in their own life. It will be a big investment. The US government have an interest in it. Maybe you guys recently heard about it, the New African Initiative, or they're trying to change the involvement of China in Africa. So the American government put a $5 billion budget on that. So that will be part of this organization involvement. And our next board meeting is going to be Thursday. Specifically, I'm asking Yohani, actually I sent you an invitation last time. You were unable to attend the last board meeting. But Mr. Jyoti, this will be an organization you can have a big role. And I'm sending this invitation openly to you guys here. I sent an invitation to Mr. Eugene, but he didn't pay attention, and I don't think he replied for it. And if you send me specific, your specific email, I'll send you the document to review it. And all of you who are involved here, that organization, especially even Yohani, what you're doing here, you can spread that in a big way by involving Pan-African Broadcasting Corporation. And you can reach out millions of people. And instead of focusing very few people here, we bring people from CNN, from Tyler Perry Foundation, executive committee, executive members from there, from Oprah Winfrey, from Motown. The diasporas are engaged in a lot of places. But what we need to do is bring all those people to get engaged together. With money, with power, everything is possible. And nice to meet you, Mr. Jyoti. I know you for a long time, even if you don't know me. And I'm inviting you to be part of us. This is a very visionary thing. Not only visionary, we all of us did achieved a lot in our personal life, but this is the time to make a difference in African life or people of African descent. And this is all I can say. And this from my mind, actually. I wasn't prepared to say anything about it. And thank you all of you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Abi. Wonderful to meet you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We have hands raised by Opie. Opie, come in.
Thank you, Brother Imani. It's a very unique time, when we have, people of this caliber actually just coming together to just have a conversation. And I'm still quite young in the game, but the potential energy that I begin to sense when Mr. Abi was just talking about the fund right now that he's involved with and extending the invitation to the group at large is quite encouraging. And people like Mr. Jyoti, for example, I've had some some runway, some experience with the IT industry and the potentials that present themselves to us, the opportunity that present themselves to the African people, as a whole in that domain. Although I hear some terminologies that are being used, and I think leapfrogging was one of them. Leapfrogging, our advancement in the presence of these opportunities. So one roadblock that I sense that we are having in the IT front is a roadblock to social integration, which I believe is going to determine how far we jump if we're supposed to leapfrog. So we're doing a lot of good stuff by shipping books for education and all that. I do believe strongly also in education, because there's no way we're going to be able to leapfrog if we don't educate along the way, because as we all know, things are evolving fast. The cutting edge technology of today probably would be already expired in the next couple of months, if not weeks. So things are changing very fast. So education, I believe, has to be harnessed, alongside the leapfrogging activity itself. So I'm thinking social integration will have a long way to go for education. And I have been saying it, basically just around my own circles, and of course here in as many ways as I can, that social integration would make a big difference between us and majority of other groups that are trying to leapfrog. We can see how social integration is helping other communities in the world, like the Chinese community, the Indian community, not so much the American community, because the American community is not really taking so much of an advantage of the technology that they have spearheaded. They just they started the movement, but they're not really taking as much advantage of it as the other communities I have just mentioned, helping each other to learn and not repeating the effort and not reinventing the wheel is really what's helping the other communities to actually leapfrog. So that there's a way that you can gather people together and utilize their strengths instead of asking them to go and learn something else, to do something else when they already have a skill set. So I think social integration would help to make that easy by gathering people in the right groups with the right mindset to invest in the right project that really fits their own desires and their own visions. So for example, we have Mr. Taddese fund that is trying to do some broadcasting stuff and trying to fund this kind of a movement, this kind of an organization, this kind of a social meeting, social integration, social integrative, idea. But to what end, right? Is it really just to share the information? Is it really just to help us all to understand what everybody else is thinking? I think it's going to be difficult, to have a single platform that would help to deal with all the injustices and also help us to harness all the opportunities and to also help us to learn at the same time and to also help us to innovate. I think it'll be difficult to have a single platform to do that. I think if we have some kind of a platform that does that actually facilitates social integration, it would help a lot, because all those things that I just mentioned are equally important, but they cannot be dealt with in a single platform. Facebook is not going to be, something like Facebook, for example, would not be able to solve all that problem. You're going to need some, like a WhatsApp, like a Facebook, like an Instagram, even such that has not been thought of in this world today will be possible with social integration, because the integration itself will give birth to platforms that would enhance its successes. So I'm just proposing, right, that the way forward is probably going to be one that considers all these talents, especially African talents in this situation, that are just out there waiting to be harnessed, waiting to be utilized, all the energy that's going towards the motherland, a platform that would give those talents an outlet, like an opportunity to pay and invest, right? And that platform is going to have to be flexible enough to not only accept them, but to direct them in the right way to where they need to be in the whole group. And if that platform is funded, you know, I think the sky's the limit. Then we can start talking about leapfrogging, right? Not only do we need to send people to schools or universities or send them to schools, which is very good because of course education is lagging. We need to, you know, educate them in a different way, put them in the right mindset, put them in the right group. You know, I don't want to send my cousin to go and learn about housing or real estate when he has a potential for software development or data analytics. I want to give him the right, you know, the right impetus and the right propelling force to go in the right path.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. I don't think.
I just wanted to say that, and I actually wanted to ask a question, and then I will end with that. Is that okay?
Yeah, hurry up. You go ahead.
Right. Okay. So this is going to be for Mr. Jote, and it's going to be, how do you think we can remove the roadblock to leapfrogging through technology for the African diaspora and the African continent?
Yeah, and Imani, let me go ahead and respond to this. And thank you. This is a absolutely a very critical question, right? And I'm gonna answer it from my lived experience and what I've seen in a social entrepreneurship work that I've done in the most recent times. You're absolutely right on the money when it comes to, there is so much untapped talent within the continent that is waiting to be discovered. So we hear about the proliferation of technology, smartphones in the continent, where, you know, anyone from the everyday farmers to the young people who are in the big cities who are walking around with smartphones. The lens that I apply is, yes, we've created a lot of what I call technology consumers, right? And they're able to connect with family members in country, abroad, through social networking sites and so forth. But the one thing that always lingers in the back of my mind is, what is needed to convert these technology consumers to more of technology innovators and creators, right? And because these are a population that is on the ground, that understands the real problems that they face every day, their families face every day. And the solution for those problems should really actually come from them, because it will be locally relevant solution. It will be locally appropriate solution, right? Using local talents. If it is about healthcare, using local physicians, local research and development centers, and actually with coming up with local solutions. The social integration part of it is, you're absolutely right. There is no one single platform that's going to solve that for us. However, within the context of a digital economy that continues to expand, and you know, the footprint continues to be more and more relevant to us every day, it's more about, rather than trying to create a single platform, it's more about connecting ecosystems together, right? And think of it within the context of an ecosystem of ecosystems, right? Because there are people with various types of experiences, some of them gained through formal education, some of them gained from sheer lived experiences, right? And which are as critical. But harnessing value from that and actually making it available through digital means in such a way that it provides social benefit, economic benefit to the local population, which in turn helps the community to prosper, is, I think it's upon us here who understand the bigger picture and really help facilitate the creation of those connection parameters for the ecosystems, okay? Some of us come from a data and analytics background. Some of us have been running franchise businesses. Some of us have been running transportation businesses for a while. Some of us have been running hotel businesses for a while. So we bring the discipline, the process, and the rigor that goes behind running a business, and we apply it on our local settings on the continent. I think that's where harnessing the real value becomes real in my mind. I don't know if I answered that question for you.
Yeah, you did good justice to it. But yeah, I do believe that, you know, keeping this forum or this kind of forum or having this give us more opportunities, right, to really delve deeper into the question. But I wouldn't want to take everybody else's time. I'm really looking forward to maybe talking to you again about specifically how we can create a machinery that would facilitate that kind of an opportunity that you just spoke about, because it's really an opportunity. It's not going to be easy because it's going to be hard to get people to get involved in that. So I'm thinking about a machinery that would be able to, you know, attract people to let people know that this is really for you, you know, and show them how they can navigate through the system to get to what they really want, what is going to benefit them. But you're right, that is definitely a way to start it. But I'm thinking already, you know, futuristically, how to really do leapfrog this, not only for people in Africa, but also for people in the diaspora, for people of African descent everywhere in the world, to start almost like connecting to a hub. Because not only is there value in helping yourself in your own line, but there's also value in numbers. So before you even know what to contribute, before you know how you're going to benefit, just connect to the hub first. And then you will be helped. You will be helped when you connect to the hub to determine where your key strengths are. You don't have to join the conversation about politics if you don't know about politics, for example. That kind of a system that would help facilitate and improve your own participation in the hub, and also improve your own life, because you're going to be getting something that pertains to your particular line, your line of profession. But thank you for that response anyways.
I would love to connect with you offline also when it's convenient, as you suggested.
Definitely.
Okay, I see you, Jenny, you raised a hand. Again, we have to be careful with time. This channel was made to network, okay? Which means that it is your responsibility, if you want to contact anyone you see in this group, to make sure you get a contact either through me or through anybody. That's the whole idea of network, okay? Eugene, come on, you got 3 minutes.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, brother Imani. Okay, yeah, this is for brother Jote. Thank you for coming on. And of course, you know, I'm the co-host of the show here with brother Imani. Fill in to answer and also propose dialogue to the folks that we have on as our guests. One thing I want to ask you, as we are bridging the gap with the African diaspora with the continent of Africa, we had been, one of the first discussions that we had on one of our programs talking about putting together a African network, which consists of both IT, media, as well as an internet platform to be able to bridge the gap between Africans here and on the continent. What would you say about developing for those individuals who understand how the program or say platform Alibaba work? Is there anything like that in the diaspora right now on the African continent that could help foster trade as well as business exchange? And I say this because as Alibaba is a very big company and did help bridge the gap for Asians in the diaspora to do business with other countries, but also bringing in a significant amount of income from this platform for businesses to be able to exchange goods and services. Would you say something like that would be very beneficial for the Afro diaspora as well?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you hit it right on the head, right? I think when we talk about the opportunities around digital economy, platform-based business models, right? They're going to be prevalent moving forward, right? And they're going to continue to challenge the traditional pipeline business models. In 2019 alone, just to give some context, right? The global African diaspora remitted more than $50 billion back to sub-Saharan Africa. Now, that's 50 billion with a B, and in 1 year, right? And then these remittances are just through the known channels, the Western Unions and the MoneyGram, right? But I also know that if I know someone who is traveling back to Nairobi or Addis tomorrow, and if I need to send money for someone, I actually would give them cash and the phone number and name of the person that they need to give it to, right? So the informal way of remitting actually is estimated to be even 2 to 3 times bigger than what's known formally. Okay, now imagine that a platform like Alibaba or Amazon or eBay or PayPal, or even a platform with capabilities that combines all these big companies that I just named, that provides a way for African diasporans to exchange goods and services with Africa-based goods and services producers. That would be a game changer, because most of the remittance is going either somebody's supporting their family business back home, somebody is building a house, or somebody is building a business, or somebody is helping their family members to get a medication or some healthcare services. Somebody is purchasing vehicle for their cousins or brothers who is doing business, right? There is some purpose behind that. However, if there is a platform that actually brings the suppliers and the demand creators through a digital means that allows the exchange of that value, that is huge. So the short answer is absolutely, there is a huge opportunity. I know there was one company by the name Jumia that primarily has been for the continent, intra-continent exchange of goods and services, something like an Amazon model.
Can you repeat that name again, and can you spell that out for us, please?
Yes, Jumia is G-U-M-I-A.
No,
and
it's J. It's
is
J,
it J?
not Ju.
Okay.
Yes, it's a J.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's with a J. And actually, they recently have been on the news just because they've been experiencing some issues with regards to their business model. But there's a lot to be learned from it. And I would say, Eugene, definitely look them up. Look them up and see what you can learn from them, because they've seen what Amazon and eBay and Alibaba have done, for the US and China and Southeast Asia. And they see an opportunity for Africa as well. And I truly believe the diaspora has a big role when it comes to bringing cutting edge technologies and innovations like that for the continent.
Okay. Mani, can I ask one question?
Go ahead.
All right. Okay. So thank you very much for coming on board, and your explanation is quite encouraging and deserves commendation. And the whole thing boils down to the fact that life is not measured by the billions of breaths that we take. Rather, it is measured by the moments that take away our breaths from us. So having said that, are you considering any effective digital means of helping especially rural Africans to unlock their full potentials and have relevance in the digital economy today?
Yeah. So that's a good and difficult question at the same time, right? Because when we talk about economic inclusion and final inclusion, we really have to take a very holistic view, including those the population that resides in the rural parts of the continent. And you guys have heard some of the latest news stories about what Facebook is doing to bring connectivity to the continent, in various companies that are trying different kinds of innovations to bring kind of the unconnected to online, right? And most of us here, and again, I refer back to the diaspora and the collective value and the collective power that we bring to the table, is that we've built professional relationships and work experiences that provide us access to some of the big names here in the U.S. when it comes to the leading innovators, and some of us have been lead engineers and scientists for these companies and actually delivering value for them when it comes to them making profits and growing. And we've made a significant amount of contribution. We've brought innovation. We've delivered patentable innovations to these companies. What is it that prevents us from doing the same for our very continent, right? And I think that's a very, very pertinent question that we should be asking ourselves. But to answer your question, Victor, there is, of course, the continent being very vast in terms of population size and magnitude. There are pockets of innovations that are coming to the continent. I mean, if you look at a country like Kenya, for example, Kenya for many reasons is really been kind of leading the pack in terms of the innovations that are starting to come up. Most notably, the capability that was introduced a few years ago around mobile payment, the M-Pesa platform, right? Now, the M-Pesa platform really brought the huge population that's been unbanked, people with no bank accounts, to the financial ecosystem, right? And so that meant that is in some sense financial inclusion. Now all of a sudden people can borrow and pay for services and goods by using either their feature phone or smartphones. And all of a sudden M-Pesa innovation as a company became a significant contributor to Kenya's GDP on a yearly basis, right? Imagine, so a technology that merely did not exist a few years ago, all of a sudden becoming a big portion of your GDP contribution to the entire country's economy. I believe there are other types of innovations. This is a fintech innovation that came to space and came to dominate, now starting to expand. But there are also innovations around farming that are yet to be uncovered, innovations around transportation, innovations around healthcare that are yet to be uncovered. And unfortunately, M-Pesa also is a company that, if you look at the leadership ranks, most of the leaders are based in Europe. Well, 90% of innovations, startups that are running in Africa are run by non-African CEOs. Well, do we ask ourselves why that is the case? So the opportunity is vast. I think it is for us to reaffirm our place as leading those areas of innovations and bringing innovations into the continent, creating innovative partnerships, because we can't do it alone. It takes partnerships. It takes a creation of an ecosystem of partners who bring value and also benefit from the ecosystem at the same time. So I went around the question a long way, but I hope that provides a broader context, Victor.
That's correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other question? Someone has another question there?
Actually,
Yeah,
I was just
okay.
gonna go ahead, please.
Yeah, so maybe, okay, Jote, good news. I think just this year, Safaricom, the company that invented M-Pesa, just bought all its shares from Vodacom. So now M-Pesa is fully African owned, right? Yeah, so
Awesome.
like the deal was kind of like 40% was owned by Vodacom, a German company, but because of the success of M-Pesa, now it's fully like fully Kenyan owned. And like you're right, like for me, I use M-Pesa for everything: rent, water bill, electricity bill. Like you can survive in Kenya and not touch money for like months. So that's how life changing the technology is, right? You know, because it's like something practical, not some like a futuristic thing. Like it actually works. It's practical and it's built for the local people. Because like I really don't think the M-Pesa model could work in the US, right? Because it's kind of like a credit-based economy, right? Like everybody borrows like that. But for like most of Africa, it's mostly you know, like debit-based economy. Like the money you have is the money you use, right? So instead of old people hiding money under mattresses,
Exactly.
like they used to do, you know, it's not a cliche. People used to actually hide their money under mattresses, right? Like with M-Pesa, like it's like making life easy. And also with Jumia, right? You guys were talking about Jumia. I also use Jumia like every day. Right now, because of the COVID-19, we're not allowed to go shopping and stuff. So with Jumia, like with a touch of a button, like just like it practically they practically took the model of Amazon, right? But the good thing of how Jumia is changing, instead of like huge companies selling to the consumer, it's Jumia kind of connected small companies who didn't have the power to create their own online platforms. It connects them together with the consumer. So that's how Jumia is kind of figuring out the African market. But with COVID-19, it's obviously making everything hard, right? Yeah. So maybe I just wanted, because like I'm in the continent, and the things you're talking about I use every day, so it's quite
It's real. It's
good
real.
to know. It's quite good to know, like you people in the diaspora, you know, are engaged in the current technologies that's taking place here.
Absolutely. And if I can add just one more thing, I think, Michael, to your point, you know, you said you use M-Pesa every day, right? So, you know, in Jumia, a platform that allows you to make micropayments on a daily basis, right?
Yep.
You know, for those of you who are familiar with the informal economy, when you go to the open markets, right? You know, there is a price for a single, you know, banana or orange, right? That you can actually buy. And how do you standardize pricing on that, right? And so the modern day, you know, financial platforms, payment platforms that are used in Europe and the US don't quite accommodate for that. And for a family that is using a solar panel and they use their M-Pesa account to make payments for the use of that solar panel, on a chip that is attached to the solar panel, if they do not make that payment on a monthly basis, actually it's automatically turned off on them. So, and this is completely drastically different from how we make payments for our water bills and electricity bills here in the US. So earlier when I said locally relevant innovations, locally appropriate innovations that are brought upon by local talents, that's what it takes to transform the continent. Our role, we have so much intellectual surplus, cognitive surplus here in the US, where we can help create a platform, an ecosystem that facilitates that kind of innovation, that orchestrates and organizes the various talents that we have within the continent. It's not because there is shortage of that. There is an abundance of talent on the continent. It's just not well organized. And I believe that's where we come in.
I mean, if I may jump in, I think you're actually right on the money there, Mr. Jote. sometimes it's hard for me to recollect what you just said, but what you just said right now, yeah, so the talent is there. I'm thinking that's where funds like Mr. Abiye's fund might come in handy, because what happened to Jumia, for example, if anyone has an history on that, with Jumia, the talent was there. It was started by an African, a couple of African Nigerian boys that got together and started the company, and they were funded, right, seeded by these venture capitalists, and I believe they were from the United States, and eventually they were actually pushed out of the contract. So right now it's not owned by a Nigerian anymore. It's been pretty much taken over by venture capitalists. So the talent is there, but the unfortunate thing that's happening in the continent, and not just in the continent, even in the United States and anywhere in the world where people are not really very integrated and they don't have the right mentors, right? The right social platforms that helps them to be well informed. And if they need funding, they can get it from the same hub. What happens to those kind of people is they get cheated out of the sweats, right? It's happening today as we speak. All the talents that we have in the motherland today, they're being used by other people's agenda. Like the United States of America would not be able to survive without African Americans. And even today, in the days of technological advancement and cutting-edge technology, we also have Africans at the helm of technology, like Mr. Jote and many people like himself. They're actually driving the technology for these companies. I'm working for AT&T and a couple of other companies. And when we get to the executive meetings, I see Africans scattered all over the executive board, making decisions, advising these CEOs. And many of them just have maybe diplomas. Many of the white people that actually lead these companies, they have diplomas or not. And they're ordering your children like just as however they want to. They're ordering your children that have multiple diplomas, sometimes PhDs, sometimes multiple PhDs. They're ordering them around like errand boys. Well, because they have the intellectual property and they have some kind of I guess welfare. They own the place, so to speak. They give that impression and they hold on to it so tightly in such a way that your qualifications don't matter, right? They just know each other and they just give themselves the role. So if we have that kind of hub that brings us together, we don't have to depend on external support, then we can keep the successes inside of our group, and things similar to what happened to Jumai, they wouldn't happen. So actually, I would end it there, but I wanted to ask what I wanted to ask originally was, how best is it going to be to contact you, Mr. Jote, with ideas or just advice, right? I don't know. I know you probably can get your number, but it might not be the best way to contact you. So how would you prefer to be contacted?
I'll actually drop my email address in the chat window right now. Everybody has it. That would be the best way, and I'll also include my number as well.
All right.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate it. I think me, myself, I don't know if you guys can see me, I'm kind of bending around. I will also need to have maybe somehow when we open, I would love to have a meeting with Jote, OP, and Mohammed Hassan. And any one of you guys who knows about these IT things, information, how to make tools, so we can actually start to figure out how to make these things work. Now, the last question I want to ask, what time do we have now? I don't want to go over time. Oh my goodness, it's already gone. The last time I have for you, Mr. Joti, is do you think if we want to have our own social network or our own platforms, do you think we need a government to back us up, like African government?
So that's a good question. I'll go back to what Mr. Abi was saying earlier. I believe in order for us to and for any community, any society for that matter, to have an attention of any government or any country, it really comes down to what is your collective financial power. And I believe that's the foundation. I don't think that even having that platform and standing up and establishing a platform like that even requires from the get-go a steady stable financial source. And again, we have no shortage of that. Collectively, there is a significant, in the billions, not in the millions, in the billions, that the African diaspora commands when it comes to finances. Having an organization, a combination of organization platform technologies that aggregates our collective financial power that could be leveraged for conversations, for negotiations, for partnerships, for projects and programs, you name it. That's when governments pay attention to you. That's when banks pay attention to you. That's when big companies pay attention to you. I think that's where a lot of doors get opened up. And I believe there is a huge opportunity in the model that Mr. Abi described in terms of setting up an aggregated funding that all African diasporans would participate in. I believe that could be game changer.
So you didn't tell me if we need the government or not. We only need the money.
Absolutely, and you know, those the African, you're referring to the African governments, right, and heads of states. I truly believe that they also look onto the diasporans when it comes to elevating and cultivating the African economy to the next level. And we could be good partners because we bring the knowledge and the best practices and quality processes, that everything that we've been practicing here and everything that we've been doing as part of our profession. Yes, they need us, and yes, we need them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I totally agree, Brother Jote, with that information that you just shared with us. And yes, governments have always been involved and engaged in the development of a country. Just remember, the people are the government, and don't get that twisted. So many of the governments are engaged and involved with infrastructure development, telecommunications, housing, healthcare, and pharmaceutical. It goes down the line. And there's institutions like the IMF and the World Bank who have been supporting many of these projects for many years. And that's a part of the actual government's initiative to help foster development in many of these countries. The problem that we've had with many governments in Africa is that monies that are supposed to go to certain places for development have not been reaching the right project to help develop the actual project to the next stage, roads building, telecommunications, and so forth. But now I believe since we are a new breed leader generation with new leaders in place who now understand what it takes to be able to govern a country, yeah, government could definitely help foster the advancement of Africa itself. And then definitely it is a time to level up for all Africans, what we are able to contribute. And one prime example would be the, just recently they had the SpaceX launch program. Elon Musk had launched a new Dragon space launch. And now what we would like to do is to be able to gather up our brothers and sisters who do have knowledge in aerial space technology combined with IT technology so that we can get involved in the race itself. Africans who do want to get more advanced in the areas of what we can do to contribute, and definitely is a vital step to making progress for Africans in the future.
Okay, all right, thank you. Our host, Dr. Katari, come on. If you haven't actually say anything, yeah, come on, it's your time.
Hello, good evening, everyone. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much, Mrs. Jote. We really appreciate you. I'm very thankful and grateful taking your busy time. Since I think I'm the only lady here in the call, and I think it'd be fair enough to to represent the ladies. So just a little bit about myself. My name is Katari Mundid. I was born and raised in Ethiopia. Actually, I'm South Sudanese by blood. We all Africans anyway, but I was born and raised in Ethiopia, and I came to this country at a very young age. I've been here for about 23 years, and I live in Washington, D.C. area. Yes, my background is finance and accounting. I'm a model. I'm also a professional runner. I trade in Forex, and also a realtor on business with real estate. I invest in, also a realtor. But my biggest passion is really to work with young people in Africa. Born and raised in a refugee, I feel I have a responsibility. Coming to this country at a young age, didn't speak English coming to America, and I feel like I'm blessed to be here, so I have to give back, and all of us here. And I think this is one of the reasons I love this platform, is that we share and we have passion to really go back and help our people, even our people who are here. So definitely, I would love to, connect with you, Mr. Taddese. There's a lot of information that, I really appreciate today, because education is very important. In my background, my grandfather actually was one of the few people who started education in 1930s, and my tribe was nowhere. So for that, I grew up in that environment, that education is very important. But I feel like, yeah, education system is being rigged somehow. And being trading in Forex market for the last 3 years, I have information that I can help young people, that they don't just have to depend on their school, which is school system. They teach us things, but they never teach us really how to make money. So I just want to take a short moment to say thank you. Your time is very important. And that's why I didn't want to do my introduction, because you being in here is more important than my introduction. Again, I thank you, all of you, for being on the call, and I'm looking forward to more calls. I know I'm going to show my face one day. I know Raj like, we want to see you. Again, thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
I'm a vegetarian too. I'm a vegetarian for the last 20 years.
And guess what? You're a true diplomat.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, we appreciate it. I think we can, I'm going to wrap up with finishing for today. Again, please, if you need to contact anyone you saw on these discussion platforms, reach out to me or send them a message inbox now. There are people I was trying to see if they can talk. One of them is Perry. Perry, can you talk? Are you there? Perry? No. And there is another number there. Who is 629903? Can you tell us about yourself? Are you there? Okay, all right. So, anyways,
yeah, I think the gentleman Perry, Dodge Perry is a designer out of fashion designer from New York, and he had wanted to tune in to be a part of our conversation this afternoon. But very extraordinary gentleman. He has been very instrumental in providing masks as well as some other things that are essentials that are necessary for the COVID virus. So we give him definitely a shout out. I don't know if he can hear us. Maybe his mic is muted or something like that, or earpiece is muted. Dodge Perry, ADAJ Perry on Instagram, and you can go on and you can see all of this type of work. But he was invited to the platform this afternoon. Anyone else on there would like to weigh in? Any information any guys like to share with us? Anybody on the platform who may be new?
This is Ross. I would like to say something to Mr. Jote. You spoke about, Mr. Jote, you spoke about businesses that are very successful and are thriving, such as Uber and Airbnb. And when I think about it, those are businesses that traditionally, like the lottery, have been, grassroots based, right? Uber, for example, we call that in Philadelphia, we called that in the 70s and 80s, we called it hacking, right? Yeah, you know what I'm speaking about, right? Yeah. So they have taken hacking and have become very successful. We used to control the numbers. Now it's the state lottery, right? So
Absolutely.
my question is there a business perhaps that you are developing, or someone in IT, that's your field, right? You know, that is something that we do every day in our communities that we can take advantage of, that we can invest in, so that we have control over, you know, eventually over our things, or something that we have traditionally done before someone else, you know, in IT or who has the educational background says, wow, well, the African Americans have been hacking. You know, why don't we make an app and control the business?
If Mr. Imani gives me the permission, I just want to share a quick personal story in terms of how I got involved in actually putting what I just talked about into practice, right? So we all, those who have connections back to the continent, one thing that we all share in common, and which is after coming to the U.S. or Europe or going to Canada or, you know, you name it, one of the things that we all share is we have this social and moral obligation about supporting our loved ones back home, right? So earlier I talked about how we you know, we've been remitting collectively, right, over $50 billion every year.
True.
So one of the things that we do is, you know, when you're far away from home from your loved ones and your loved ones are sick, it takes an emotional toll on you because you're 10,000 miles away from them. You can't be there with them. You can't support them. The only thing you can do is send money. So consider this scenario. Let's say my aunt calls me from back home, says, you know, son, I haven't been feeling well recently. And I went to the local clinic, they took my blood, and now they tell me that I have diabetes. And they say I have to take this medication. And so diabetes is a chronic disease. So chronic disease treatment is almost like a lifetime treatment. So in my head, I know that auntie is calling me because she needs some financial help. So, you know, and that in itself evokes some emotion in me. The first thing that I think about right away is go to the local Western Union and send money to her so that she can get her medication. Now, let's say the cost of the medication is, let's say it will cost her, you know, $50 a month, right? But again, those of you from the continent, culturally, we don't send $50 to, you know, 10,000 miles away. That's a no-no, right? That's offensive. So, and what I would do more than likely is I would actually send $300, $500, $700, thinking that it's going to last her longer, right? So I do that, and then I call her up and say, hey, auntie, did you get your money? And she says yes. And did you purchase your medication? She probably say yes. However, I sent her that money without having any idea about her financial reality on the ground. Maybe the minute she receives that money, maybe the first thing that she needs to do is she needs to repay the loan that she's been taking from her neighbor. Maybe she needs to, there are other priorities in her life. Maybe it's more food on the table or school supplies for the kids. Or maybe her husband needs some of that money for his business, for his beer, for his cigarette, or whatever it is, right? Then most of it I will never know. So, but at the same time, I earned that money by working hard here in the US. So I would like for that money to be used for its intended purpose so that my aunt would get better, feel better, right? So myself and few African diasporans, few years ago, we came up with an idea that says, what if, taking this same scenario, what if we built a platform that allows my aunt to walk into her local pharmacy and says, I'm here to pick up my medication, and there's someone actually who can pay for me who lives abroad. All they need is flip their tablet, look up her information, and then she would give them a code that I supply her. They get verified with that code. They dispense the medication, and money is deducted from the credit card that I supplied through the platform. I get a notification that says my auntie just picked up her medication or prescription, that I enrolled her under my account myself. So now I will know what pharmacy is selling what kind of medication to which one of my relatives for how much. Information and data that I've never had before, right? And we do that every day, Russ. We do that, we send money home every day, but we have no idea how that money is being used, how it's being diverted for another use, thinking that it's being used for either the intended purpose would be, you know, building a house or getting a medication, or because if my aunt doesn't take care of herself, that diabetes becomes, it advances into a cardiovascular disease. And when she needs a special procedure, a heart surgery, guess who gets the call again? I get the call again.
Right.
Except the bill is much higher this time around, right? Instead of in the hundreds, it's in the thousands. So us diasporans actually can participate in a platform like that, that can aggregate our funds together. Number one, this actually brings money into the continent. It doesn't extract money out of the continent. But number two, it actually contributes to healthcare inclusion. Now, all of a sudden, if I can make those micropayments, because the cost to send $20 through Western Union, it's about what, $5, $7 or so? That's exuberantly high. But a platform that allows you to make a micropayment for your loved ones. Now, I may have 50 other extended family members, but I cannot send $500 for each. I'll go broke in no time if I do that. But now, if a platform like this allows me to take care of my loved ones, that $200, it can go a long way. My money can go a long way. Now I can sponsor 20, 30, 40 people, my extended family members, so that they can get well and become productive members of society and actually provide for their families as well. 100 million people get sucked into the cycle of poverty every year simply because they cannot afford the basics of healthcare expense.
Right. So that's a good plan to eliminate. Your aunt would be the middleman. So eliminate her to take care of the business and deal directly with the entity that needs that is providing the service. So yeah, if we could go right through the middleman, which is a big problem in Africa, too many middlemen. Not to say your aunt is a middleman, but you know, maybe you can understand what I'm saying. Too many middlemen. But if we could deal directly with the institution where we want to channel the funds and the resources, that would be a great platform.
Absolutely, and imagine what it does for the local healthcare service providers, the clinics and the pharmacies. A platform like that would open up an entirely new channel to an entirely new customer segment living in the Western world that they've never had access to. Right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
So you can extrapolate what it means financially, economically, and just overall, it could be something that is a game changer when it comes to healthcare delivery. Now, this is one vertical, just one vertical amongst many others in terms of what we could do.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we have to end our meeting. Again, let's give a huge shout out for our special guest today, and everyone who came in. We do appreciate it, but again, our motive or our reason of us be here is not just to talk. Is to actually make to come up with solutions. So me personally, I will really need to be together with Jote, OP, and Muhammad. Sometimes I don't know when, so we can see if we need to start something, even a little one, but we need to start something we can work on. Again, thank you so much. I don't think there's anyone who has something to say.
And by the way, those of you who would like to, and what I just explained, the concept, it's called DiasporaCare. And you can actually go to diasporacare.com. We've actually kicked the tires on this concept, and we run a proof of concept in Nigeria. And we took our learnings from there and we turned around, we implemented it in Ghana. And now we're in Kenya as well. Go out and take a look at it. And I think that can inspire new innovation, new thinking amongst many of us as well. And that's our purpose. We want to create that spark within people. Say, if this is possible, what is it that I can do that I'm good at, that I've been practicing, that can deliver value to the continent? It is possible.
Mr. Jote, share your information with our viewers and listeners one more time. Tell us a little bit about your company and how they can get in touch with you.
Absolutely.
Yes, also, Mr. Jyoti, that last website or name that you will you share that publicly also?
Yep,
thank you.
It's all
on the chat. It's on the chat.
Oh, excellent. Yep, thank you.
Yeah, so he's adding everything on the chat, so you guys, you can grab those information there. But also, if you need it, you can ask me his contact.
Yeah, I was just saying that just in case we have some folks who are live streaming right now, or maybe just tuning in and really can't see us visually, just share that information with us one more time.
And Jote, maybe if I could add something, M-Pesa released an API also. So probably you could add it in your system and somebody could directly, so like hospitals and clinics in Kenya, they have M-Pesa pay bill. So you could directly, using your mobile phone, send the payment, you know, like mostly like through maybe instead of a credit card, directly to the hospital. Yeah, so yeah, you can add that.
So I'll be in touch with you, Michael, as well.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We see you on next Saturday at 6 p.m. in Washington, D.C. time. Again, I do appreciate for our special guest, Jote Taddese, for coming in and share a lot of information and his contact information as well with us. We all are working day and night to bring Africa to the standards, like to be like when I was in India, and when people say from Africa, you don't feel like you are comfortable, you know, or even in Europe. So we want to change that. If someone say this guy is from Africa, we want to be like proud of, like, you know, like, hey, this is someone from, you know, like from America. When you say America, like, not the one of Minneapolis, okay? But yeah, we want to bring that kind of respect to Africans, because yes, we can. I believe we can. So that's why we take our time. That's why we spend our thinking and analyzing and see what strategy we need to use to work towards that kind of prideness. You know, we were from the beginning, and we will be definitely because we are mighty people. Okay. We are mighty people. Yes, Africans, we are mighty people. We will get there. So again, and again, thank you so much for our special guest, Jote. We appreciate for coming in. In the future, if we need me, we will definitely come to you and invite you again. Thank you so much. I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Be safe over there in Minneapolis. And actually everywhere we are, except those who are in Kenya. You guys, you're fine. Have a nice night, guys.
But I'm the signal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. All right, you guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Have a great week.
Good night.
All right, good night.
One love.
Good night.
One love.